Hey, good looking. Welcome back to my channel. Today I will be revisiting all of the brushes that I reviewed for you on my channel in 2020. So if that sounds like content that you're interested in, or single eyeshadows or sunscreens, then make sure you subscribe to my channel and let's get started. I will go through 5 sets that I've reviewed in 2020, and I'll link all those videos down below. If they're still being made, I will also link the brushes, the website where you can get them at, and so on and so forth. So stick around to see what I think of all the brushes that are reviewed for you guys. And this is just going to be kind of a 90,000 foot overview and whether or not I still like those brushes or not. So let's start. The first brush review I think I ever did in 2020 was the Younique brush roll set. And I broke that up into 2 videos, which was my face brushes. I went over each of the face brushes, what they did. And I think I even included some of the costs in some of them. And then I also did the eye brushes separately because there was 26 brushes at the time total. And revisiting this brush roll, so I've got a few of them in here. Revisiting this, I wouldn't repurchase these brushes by any stretch of the imagination, but I do enjoy using them as my secondary brushes for makeup when my other ones are dirty. That's basically what I use them for, but as far as brushes goes, I have other brushes that work better, and the hair is much more easier to get along with. Not as scratchy, yet still works just as hard. I want you guys to understand that sometimes brushes, the hairs aren't really supposed to be soft, because the softer the brush, the less rough the cuticle is. It may not pick up as much product. It may just be more of a light wash, and you want more of that workhorse or that utilitarian. And so softer is not always better. Okay, softer is not always better. But I will say, like, for example, these blending brushes here are extremely scratchy, and I can get the same type of work done with a brush that is less scratchy than these. So unfortunately, this would probably have to be one of those. I wouldn't repurchase it, and I really don't think I would recommend the brushes anymore either. Oh, and also I should say something. I don't remember if it was this one. No, I think it was just the Kabuki brush, and I also had a video. I will link some of these in the eye as I go along as well, so just pay attention to the cards up here. I did do a little battle of the brands, and I did the Sigma versus the Younique, and at the time I really liked the Younique brush a lot better than the Sigma brush. I would still say that today. However, the handle on my Younique brush loosened up, and now it's on the verge of breaking. And once a brush's ferrule loosens up on me, it's over. We're done. We're breaking up. I don't mess around anymore with them, because I don't like that feeling of how loose it is, and then you just know at some point it's going to break, and when and where, it's always going to be at the most inopportune time, and then the ferrule pops off. You're trying to keep it together. You're on vacation, you're camping, you're whatever, and then you got 2 pieces to worry about now. Nope, not my cup of tea. So yeah, I have to say that, although I will say I don't really even use the Sigma one either, but I will go into the brushes that I do use for my face products in just a moment. Okay, so the next brush set that I reviewed in 2020, I believe, was the makeup brushes by Makeup Geek, of which they're not being made anymore. However, I do believe there's a few of these still on sale on the website. You might check with them, I don't really know, but I bought like a dozen of each of these face brushes because these are the ones that I use on the daily. Like, so you can see I've got a couple of the face buffer brushes. I use them every day. They are what I use to buff in my serum foundations. They don't leave any streaks. They're very, very, very hardy brushes. I will say this, had one with the ferrule that got loose, but I only paid $3 for the brushes. So I was like, next, I just threw that one aside, and then I was like, next, so it didn't really bother me that much. But again, price does dictate whether or not I'm really going to be hurt about something. I guess, I don't know. These are just very, very strong workhorses, very utilitarian. They're multi-use brushes. Like this one right here, I can use to dab on the face, and I can also use it for a highlight up here in the corner if you wanted. I could also put a little powder and kind of, do that whole beard sculpting thing if I wanted to. It's just a really nice, it's angled. It's the angled stippling brush. I use it to stipple quite frequently in and around my nose. I use it for my cream blushes. I use it for my cream bronzer, and when I do take the time to contour, I will sometimes use it. This right here, I will say, a little bit of a miss. It's too dense to be a nice bronzer brush. So like if you're putting bronzer on, just by the shape of it, it kind of will go patchy on me. And I've used the tried and true cult favorite Hoola bronzer, and it does that on me. And I can use other brushes and it doesn't do that. So it's just a little too dense. So it's more of a packing on the powder around these areas right here where you'll need like the coverage and you'll need the staying power. This brush would work for it, but I really wanted it to be a bronzer brush. You know what I'm saying? Eye brushes, not that it really matters, you can't get them anymore, but just to be real honest with you, don't really use them a whole lot. I don't use a lot of these types of brushes to pack anything in the corner because I kind of my makeup style is more soft, subtle, and just a wash of color on the lid more often than not. And these brushes are more for like packing, like you could pack in the corners and pack on top of the lid and then swipe a halo eye on your lid. That's not really my look anymore. And then I don't do too many inner corner highlights, but when I do, I don't even find myself reaching for this brush that often. So unfortunately, I like them. They work perfectly well for what they did, and they were super affordable, but they're discontinued, A, and B, I don't really use them. So I would recommend the face brushes by Makeup Geek. However, I'm choosing not to review the Makeup Geek face brushes. If she launches some eye brushes, I'm considering, purchasing them and reviewing them for the channel, but I have to be kind of choosy about what brushes I review, just for the simple fact that they don't expire and they last a long time. Generally, brushes can last a really long time. And if they don't end up working out for me, it's hard for me to find homes for these brushes because nobody else feels as strongly about makeup as I do. So it's just one of those things where it's hard to declutter brushes because who am I going to give them to, or where am I going to sell them? I guess once I get more established and more set up, maybe in the future I will, get back in the swing of things and really start reviewing the brushes again. And then if they don't work out for me, even though there might be a great brush set, some of them just don't work out for me and my needs particularly. So I just, would like to pass them on to somebody who could benefit from them. And it's hard to find people around here in this area to really do that for. So there you have it. I would consider repurchasing Makeup Geek brushes, eye brushes, if in fact she does go ahead and launch the ones that she was testing in her protocol. And she had quite a few live streams. Marlene Estelle, she had quite a few live streams where she was using those eye brushes, and I really feel like those are brushes I would probably stand behind. So would I recommend Makeup Geek brushes? Absolutely. I just don't particularly care for the Makeup Geek brushes she's launched so far, and it's just really the aesthetics of them. They look like a Morphe brush. Not my cup of tea. Next. Okay, so somewhere in this whole starting my channel, I reviewed a Chinese artisan brush set, and it was the Ebony Rose Gold or Sandalwood set. I'm not exactly sure how AliExpress labeled them, but this is the set. It was a face and an eye brush set. And to this day, these are probably some of my most used brushes, and they are probably some of my most loved brushes in my collection. However, let me put it this way. Over time, I have felt the need to switch from natural bristle brushes to synthetic and cruelty-free. So these are a recommend as far as if you were in the food world and you want an alternative. However, I'm going to use the brushes that I have because I already purchased them and the brushes, the hair was already used for it. But going forward, I think that I'm probably just not going to review those types of brushes anymore. I think that world is for a specific type of person, and that specific type of person, can appreciate those types of brushes but it's not me. And it's not really the direction I want to take my channel. So unfortunately, not a recommend. I will leave the link down below for the brush set. If you are a Fude lover and you wanted the alternative to those, I think this would be your set. Also, I did what started me thinking of purchasing and reviewing these types of brushes here was a set that I had picked up for relatively cheap on AliExpress, and it was this 4-piece eye brush set. This is goat hair, and I can't remember what type of goat hair it is, but I'm gonna link that video in the eye for you and you can go and check it out. Wait a minute, is that right, or is it this one? And I fell in love with this brush set. I thought it was wonderful. To this day, I still use these brushes. They haven't loosened in the ferrule whatsoever. Really an exceptional quality brushes. But again, like I said, I'm not staying in the realm of natural hair brushes anymore. I'm starting to trend towards the synthetic because I'm seeing that we are moving forward in the world. We are coming up with technology all the time that is able to mimic natural bristle brushes and give you that same feel, give you that same quality, extra resilient. You're not going to have to replace the brushes after 10 or 15 years, and you're not also going to have to endanger or harm any animals in the process. That's just where I want to be. That's kind of where I want to take things. If it's not you, totally understand that. That's just where I'm at. So this is what started it all. You can go check out that review, but I still stand behind loving these brushes right here, and also standing behind that they are a Fude alternative for that reason. So, but going forward, I probably won't be picking up any more of those brushes to review. So I hope that helps you, and I hope that kind of puts into perspective what I feel about the brushes. I love them, but I'm not going to continue to purchase that type of brush. And then also, I did take a deep dive into the Fude world, and I purchased the Rephr brush set. I purchased all the eye brushes, and I purchased 2 of the face brushes. And those face brushes were the 17 and the 18. Those 2, you can see they're dirty. I use them. And then I was gifted the Rephr 26, 27, 28, and 29 by Rephr. So again, thank you so much to the Rephr team for doing that. And I found those brushes to be really great as well. There's one on the floor. They're all black candles, and I always get mine with the silver ferrules. But so then I got gifted these brushes. Really, truly love this 27. I think it's an excellent brush. And if you were a Fude lover and you already had like Chichodo and Chicoto, Chicoto, all of those others, I would say this is an easy pass because you probably already have brushes that, you know, far exceed those expectations as far as the Fude community goes. But if you were just diving into Fude and you wanted some, or you just wanted a really good quality set of brushes, these are definitely a recommend. I find that I reach for them quite frequently. However, the recent set, minus this brush right here, I feel like this is very utilitarian. The recent launch of these 3 brushes right here, take a look at them and maybe find a few videos where they use the brushes, because these are pretty specific brushes. This is a kind of a fat pencil, smoky, you know, does the corner really well. So if you're, again, like a light wash of color on the lid, probably not your cup of tea. And this brush right here, the number 29, I found it, you can't use it as an eyebrow brush because the hairs are very, very soft and very fine. But it really has made for a great brush to just stamp a dark color into my upper, not really waterline, but upper liner, to kind of marry in together the lash band of when I use lashes. So I like that. But as far as anything else goes, this brush right here, you have to be really careful because the bristles are very fine and very, very thin. And so, you know, if you're smoking at the lower lash line, you can really bend these bristles quite a bit. So just make sure, you know, what you need is what you're getting kind of situation. This right here is the sister to the Rephr 21. I feel like this is able to pick up a little bit chunkier product. You still would probably have to wet it, but maybe it has a little bit more cuticle than the synthetic natural hair bristle sister, the 21. So again, it seems like it's a very, very specific type of brush. They're kind of drilling down and finding out what the community likes. So if that's your jam, then by all means, Rephr might be the way to go. And I still use these brushes quite frequently. And I also feel like at the price point, you can use the brushes and wash them after every use in between clients, and so on and so forth. So I find myself reaching for these a lot when I do makeup on other people. So I really like that, especially if they have like sensitive skin or any kind of skin issues, or just like they get watery eyes really easily, or they have allergies. I will always, always, always reach for these brushes because they're extremely soft and gentle. And it's like they say, I get people all the time, I don't even really feel like you're really doing anything to my eyes. Like, you're putting all this makeup on, I don't even really feel it, because they're so incredibly soft, so incredibly gentle with the skin. There's no tugging or anything. So really, really enjoy the Rephr set. But the Japanese, it's a little bit of a different culture because they generally try to preserve, the resources and make things, sustainable. So Fude world would probably be an exception to the natural bristle brush world that I would, accept a lot better than. I don't really know how the hair is harvested with these. I don't know how the animals are treated. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes for these. That's just something that lends itself to marketing. So when you get a lot more marketing, you get a lot more education behind that marketing and what the brand stands for. With something like this, you really don't know. You just have the product. And that's why you're able to get a really good quality product for such an affordable price, because you don't really know a lot extra. You just know whether it's good or not. There's just not a lot to be known about these types of brushes. So I hope that helps you guys. And if you're finding value in this content, of course, make sure you subscribe to my channel. But wait, there's more. I was looking through the film editing about a week ago and realized I forgot two important brush sets that I reviewed on my channel, and I want to go through them. The first one's going to be the Colourpop brush roll, which I don't have in front of me, but I've got some footage here that I can roll with you. And I just want to talk about how good of a brush roll set this really actually is, but it is for beginners. And I don't mean beginners in makeup like I don't know what I'm doing, beginners in makeup. Like beginners in makeup as in you don't have a lot of brushes yet, you don't have a lot of this, or you don't have a lot of that. You've just been kind of working with one or two things here and there, and you're ready to move up to the next level because your experience is up there. So I like the brush roll set. I have used it a few times. It's kind of a backup brush roll set, so it's packed away right now in my kit, and it's more or less for when I do 5 or 6 clients, I'll bust out this brush roll because I don't have time to clean brushes in between. And they work perfectly fine. They're for sensitive skin, all the way around. Just a really good quality brush roll set. It's under $50, and I highly recommend the brush set. I just don't personally use them a whole bunch. I prefer the brushes, that I've kind of researched and spent some time, curating in my collection. So with that said, let's move on to the last and final brush set. These are the Chicoto Vermilion brushes right here. I've got them. I know I put in my review that I was recommending them, but they're short-handled. I actually travel with these brushes because they will fit in my little case right here, and this is what I put my brushes in. So I like it for that reason. However, these brushes a year later are not going to be a recommend, and I kind of was on the fence already. I can't remember which one it is. I believe it's this one. Yep, there you go. There you go, folks. Nothing makes me more angry when I have something like this happen. And it just so happens that my kid was the one that popped this off and chucked this puppy. Actually, it's behind my set. And I happened to find it. I was thankful he did that, because if this had happened while I was working on a client, like, that's one of my biggest pet peeves, is if a brush malfunctions when I'm using it. Like, it's one thing if I'm sitting at home, whacking away at some eyeshadow and it pops off, but not while I'm out and about. And I think I've only used these a couple of times on clients. Yeah, I don't think it's been very many times. They're pretty specific types of brushes, but yeah, this one popped off. Not a fan of that. Again, the short handles, not great. I will not glue this back on. I know you're all in the comment section going, just glue it back together, Kendra. I will spend a year trying to find the glue that I need to glue this back on, which is probably Gorilla Glue, Super Glue, whatever glue you got, right? Elmer's glue, whatever. I have ADHD. I'll spend a year going, okay, I need to go glue this. Boop, it's fine. I can use this one last time, and then I'll go get the glue, and then I'll go get the glue, and it never happens. B, I don't care who you are. You have to get the glue all the way around that and glued centered, because if you rock or put pressure on any of these at any angle and it's not glued down, and that's exactly what happened in here. I can see it. There's a big glob of glue on this side and there's not any on the other side. So what ended up happening was I probably just loosened the ferrule up because there was not an equal amount of glue. For a brush set, these were between $7 and $11 on AliExpress. Generally speaking, that's equal to double in a market where you have advertising on like Instagram and Facebook and other platforms that you advertise on. So these are probably equivalent to like almost $20 in a market where they have a US website and so on and so forth, right? So I think like I can get more with this, but I have to, I have to do a little research. I have to kind of read between the lines because they do use a translator when they're translating, and so sometimes the words for the hair don't always translate across the board correctly, and so on and so forth. But this was like a $20 brush if I went to Chichodo's website, and I fully believe that this is should be equivalent quality to a Chichodo. I don't know of very many. I don't own any Chichodo, by the way, but why didn't I just get this off of Chichodo? Okay, that's what I'm trying to get at here, folks. So as much as I really would love to recommend these brushes, they're just a miss for me. I think that there are better out there, and furthermore, I would just go to a reputable site at this point. Chichodo is one of them. Chicoto is more like specialty brushes, and they also specialize in sets, if I'm not mistaken. I see a lot of them in sets, but I know they do sell the specially, the nice big brushes. And Chicoto and Chichodo, all of those, Fude, it might pay off just to go ahead and buy one of those. So unfortunately, a year later, will I probably use them? Yeah, I can travel with them, but I can't use them in my set anymore. Or my kit. I'm probably not going to use them on set very often just because I don't want you guys thinking like this is the end all be all, the brush set you need, that kind of thing. I'll probably just go back to my other Chinese artisan brushes. But I will go ahead and put these away in my little pouch here, and it'll go in my train case so I can take them. And now I don't feel too bad if they break or whatever. And maybe my husband has some glue in his truck and the brush and the glue will meet up and it will be sweet bliss and I'll get it glued back together. Probably not, but you just never know. Anyways, also I do want to talk about, when I was watching the film back for editing, I was really kind of driving it home how I have shifted how I feel about brushes that are made with synthetic Taklon or nylon or, those types of hairs versus the natural bristle brushes. And it's really just comes down to my brush classification. And I've got a link to that, and it is up here in the eye for you guys. Go check that video out. But basically, I classify brushes. So you can't compare an Amazon cheapy $10 set to Marc Jacobs synthetic hair set. They're in two different categories. So even though they're both synthetic, they both might be Taklon or nylon or whatever the case may be, you can't really compare the two. So there's a luxury end brush set, which actually, I mean, if you want my opinion, don't go with Marc Jacobs. But then you've got like Fude, which is not the same as a Morphe brush, which again, like I've said before on my channel, I don't review Morphe brushes for that reason because I feel like there is so much out there, so much better than what Morphe has to bring to the table. Like Morphe's brushes, in my opinion, are the lowest of low You can't get any worse. You can go and put your Amazon order in with the 5% off and have it auto shipped every 3 months, and who cares if the ferrules pop off. That's better than a Morphe brush. Will always be better in my opinion. I can't say that's the same for like Jaclyn Hill's set or that other set that came out that was supposed to be like a pro artist set. Can't say the same for that. I don't know. I haven't spoke to those. They won't be reviewed on my channel, however. I do want to also state that, you know, the trend is going towards the type 1 brushes. Again, like I said, I talk about that in my brush classification video, so check that out. The trend is going towards the type 1s. We are finding the market for the, you know, the specialty brushes with the Taklon fiber. The synthetic fiber brushes are here. There's, I mean, the writing was on the wall when Wayne Goss released a synthetic version of his Fude brushes, and many people use those synthetic brushes. So again, there is still that craftsmanship behind it. You don't always have to have the natural bristle brushes. I know some people, and I know some people in my you know, community right here will tell me, but it's just not the same, Kendra. It's not the same. Yes, I know. Believe you me, I know. But then there comes this, yes, I feel like we shouldn't rely on animal, you know, animal products, right? We can find a different alternative, especially when it comes to something so elective as makeup. We don't need it. Like maybe if, you know, there's a medicine out there that relies on like bovine cells or something like that, I could maybe look past that, you know, because it's like life-saving or something, but that's also questionable. You know, that's a different channel. It's not mine. I just think something so elective as makeup, let's try to find something that we can all agree to use and find it very, very useful, and also, you know, does the same thing. I mean, we're finding synthetic brushes that mimic the Fude community brushes, which is like of the utmost best line of brushes. So with that said, hopefully that helps clear up the error, and thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.